Hey guys, it's Sim Queen, and today I'm going to be doing something a little bit different. This is a collab video with Hiphiprenee. I'm sure you've already heard of her, but if you haven't, I highly suggest going and checking out her channel. I will be linking that in the description. So every Thursday, she does videos called Brief History, and basically it's a combination of two things that I love so much, which is true crime and The Sims. So she does a build relating to the story that she's telling, and they're always so entertaining and like I said, a little bit dark. It's not for everybody. It's probably a little dark for some people, but I really enjoy them. And this is definitely a different avenue for me as well, because most of my builds are just, I mean, I've done some darker sort of builds before. Every October I do, for Halloween, I do some scarier builds. I usually recreate homes from scary movies. I've done like the Amityville Horror House, I've done Michael Myers' house, things like that. I've done quite a few recreations, but this one's different because it's a true story, and it's a lot darker than what I normally do, but I'm really excited to be trying something different on my channel and doing this collaboration with Hiphiprenee. I've been watching her videos, and I reached out to her one day and said that I really wanted to collab for one of these because it's totally up my alley and something that I wanted to get into as well, just to try it out. And so this house that I am building is the story of JonBenet Ramsey. Or I guess this is her parents' house. I'm not going to be telling the story of what happened if you don't already know. I mean, you can either Google it to find out for yourself, but I highly suggest going over to Hiphiprenee's channel and checking out her version of this, because she's going to be furnishing this house, and she always has a really good script prepared that tells the story in depth of what happened, and it's just really good. So yeah, after you watch this video, definitely go over and check out the furnishing and hear the story of what happened. Like I said, you can also Google it, which if you do that, I highly recommend just being a little bit careful on Google, because I got pretty deep into this while I was researching it, and it took me to a rather dark place, and I ended up seeing some images that I cannot unsee, and yeah, just be careful, because there are some things out there that are very dark and a little bit disturbing. So yeah, the story of JonBenet Ramsey, this takes place in Colorado. So there's like a lot of trees that I put outside. Like I said, I've done quite a few recreations before, but this is hands down the hardest one I've ever done. I have never struggled with a build so much in my life. Altogether, this video took, well, not the video, but the build itself took about a week. I would come in and do a little bit every day. I couldn't do too much at once because, I mean, while I was building, I had to look at a lot of images, I had to do a lot of research, and it started to get a little bit depressing, and I couldn't spend too much time doing this, so I had to keep coming back. I guess I'm a little bit more sensitive than I realize when it comes to looking into things like this, but I mean, this story does involve a child, so it's a little bit different. So I'm building this house. You're probably thinking, like, what the hell are you doing right now? I know everything I'm doing is so weird and out of place, and it doesn't make sense, and you've probably never seen a build come together in such a disorganized, dysfunctional way. I realize it's very weird, but it's just the way I had to do it, because I could only look at one image at a time, and I had to keep going back and referencing it. And I really wanted to get this build as close to the original as possible. There are some obstacles that kind of stand in your way, especially when you're recreating things in The Sims. You can't do everything realistically, and a lot of things in the real build don't translate well into The Sims. So you will see, if you look up a picture of the front of the house, you will see that it's a little bit different. I got it as close as I possibly could, but the roof was such a struggle for me. But I did try to get the rest of it as close as I possibly could. I looked at endless images. I feel like I've seen every crime scene photo there is of this house. So trust me when I say I did my research, and this is truly the very best that I could do. I wanted it to turn out well. I wanted Renee to be happy with it as well, and so I hope that it's I hope that it's as close as possible. So the side of the house, a lot of these, the reference pictures that I found were a little bit difficult because there were a lot of pictures that were from a realtor's listing from, I think, maybe like 10 years ago or so. This, I believe, happened in 1996, I want to say. 1994, it happened in the 90s, and then somebody renovated the house, and there's a ton of pictures of the new renovated house on Google, and so it was hard to find the old pictures or to tell the difference between the old and the new, because I wanted it to look like the old build. And then there are a few times where I realized that I'm actually building, like the picture I'm going off of is from a newer version, and so I'd have to go back and change it because I'd realized that a little bit too late. So it's a little bit tough. This house is just a little weird. It's a massive house. I didn't realize how big it was. Before I started this, I'd seen pictures before, but it didn't look too bad. To me, it looks like two houses that were like put together almost. The front is like a brick, more traditional, sort of like a bit of a Tudor vibe. And then the back of the house is mostly like this concrete. I don't know. It's very weird. You'll see it all. I know it looks like a very strange house, but trust me, this is the way that it looked. It seems like it doesn't make much sense with the brick and the concrete, and it doesn't contrast very well, but that's honestly what it looks like, so I just kind of went for it. And then eventually you will see that I start building in the wintertime because the murder actually occurred on Christmas Day. So I did include some things like Christmas decorations, and I made sure that it was snowy outside just to sort of capture the realism of it. And then here, like, this is embarrassing how much I struggled with this roof. Like, can you believe how hard this was? And I don't even think that's the original, like, I don't even think I kept how it looks now. I think I changed it again. It's crazy how much went into this build and how many issues I had and like roofs clipping. And right now you can see that I'm struggling with like those little weird black lines on the edge of the roof. I don't know what those are doing there. They don't leave though. I could not get rid of them. I don't know what they were doing. It was so hard, but I think this was fun for me to try out and fun to do another collab with Hiphiprenee. I have done one with her in the past. It was just a large family home. But this, I think, is even more exciting because it's I don't know, I feel like I'm getting in on something that she's doing that has been really fun for me to watch, and I'm excited to sort of get involved in that, and I cannot wait to see how she furnishes this house. I know it's going to be a ton of work for her, though, so I'm already feeling bad for you, Renee, that you have to renovate this whole thing. Furnish. It is so huge. And there's a garage at the back here that I did, and I played around with terrain, which was probably a mistake. I don't like playing with terrain that much, but I felt like I should to sort of capture the essence of a garage, and like I wanted it to look like almost a ramp going up to the garage. And playing with terrain was not a wise move because I struggled throughout the rest of the build with it, and I really had to play around a lot to get it to look just right. So yeah, terrain manipulation is not something I use in most of my builds, but for garages, I definitely will. I did build some fence lines just to show the edge of the property, because I did live on like a very traditional street, and there are just other houses around them. And so I made sure I even went on Google Maps. I feel like such a creep, but I went on Google Maps to actually check out the houses around like next door on either side of the house, and I did put the fence lines just to show where those houses would go. And then I put the back alley as well as the driveway to the garage. But yeah, like I said, it's a really big house. I was not expecting it to take this long. I'm glad I did it though. It was super enjoyable. Even now and then when I started to get in a weird mood, because like it just, I don't know, researching these kinds of things, I don't know how Renee does it every week, because it starts to bring me down a little bit. So I could only spend a certain amount of time doing these things. But here I'm adding some Christmas wreaths because those were in the original pictures of the front of the house that were taken on the morning after the murders, I guess, or the murder, sorry. But yeah, it was difficult. I don't know what else to say other than this was a difficult build. And I kept checking in with Renee to say, like, this is so hard. And I want her to know that this was harder than I expected. And a lot of the things, like I said, were hard to translate. I couldn't believe how difficult some of those things were. And this house has 3 floors. So there's a main floor, a second that has all the bedrooms. And then the third floor at the top is basically all just the master bedroom. It's got a bathroom up there too. But yeah, it was difficult to translate all of that and still make it look realistic. Because this house, it looks like it has 4 floors, but I really only wanted it to have 3. So yeah, definitely a struggle. But now I'm putting some Christmas decorations down on this little pathway, as well as some little lights. They had originally the candy canes going up this little pathway, but we didn't have any of those, so I had to get a little bit creative. I still wanted to do something Christmassy, so I ended up doing these little snowmen on either side. You can see I'm playing around, looking for so many different things to use. I probably spent way too much time on these little decorations, like trying to find what I should use. But in the end, I think it turns out you kind of get the idea. Christmas decorations, that's what's supposed to go there. There's a lot of trees on this property as well. This is in Colorado, so that's probably why. But yeah, there were trees everywhere. I couldn't even I couldn't get an accurate count on just how many were there. So I put in as many as I could without sort of blocking the view of the house. But yeah, you can see the house looks very odd, how it just kind of goes from brick to concrete. It doesn't seem to flow that nicely, but I don't know. I'm not sure what the history of the house is, but I would say the back is maybe an addition to the house. I did read that it was a very old house, so I would say that the front was built in like the 20s maybe, and then the back was added on to it. But yeah, I think that also I'm doing some more terrain manipulation here. I didn't really have much of a choice just because, for some reason, the door, I don't know. I don't even know how to explain what was going on here, but, with terrain manipulation, it makes it hard to put flooring down. So I did have to play around and, go by their rules, which was a little bit difficult, but I did finally get that. And I like this. There was a lot of pictures of this, a side view of the house, which made it really easy. There's like a little barbecue area. There was also a table and chairs in one of the pictures that I saw, so I did include that as well. There were a few areas of the house where I could not find pictures at all, so I just had to sort of guess. Like this little pathway going from one door to another. That was a complete guess for me. I just kind of added that in there because I couldn't find any pictures to see if that was really there. But I did read that this house has something like, I didn't get this many, but 104 windows and like 9 doors leading outside. And I'm thinking, like, no wonder someone got access into this house with that many doors. I mean, they may have broken into a window. I think they did. But I'm just saying, like, that is crazy to have so many doors leading outside. And I still don't think I even got that many. I didn't do a count or anything like that, but it's not that accurate. I couldn't do 104 windows, but I did get it as close as possible. And now I'm doing the floor plan, which was way harder than I thought it would be. Because, and this house has a basement too. So it's really 4 floors. The basement, main floor, second floor, and third floor. Oh my God, I'm so sorry, Renee. I'm sorry that I brought this idea to you because it's going to be so much work. But I thought doing the floor plan at least would make it a little bit easier. I put in the stairs and the doors as well, just to try to help you out a little bit with those things. And I had to play around with the walls so much. It's crazy how much I had to change things that were already in place, but I think I got it as close as possible. There are a lot of stairways in this house as well. There's 2 just going upstairs, and there's 2 more on the second floor going to the third floor, and oh my God, it's a very complicated house. And the floor plan to me doesn't make that much sense. Like, I just think it'd be so hard to get around in this house because it's so big, but I don't know. That's just rich people stuff, I guess. They didn't seem to mind at all. So yeah, I'm just adding in a couple of the bedrooms. One thing that is not completely accurate, and I'm aware of this, is on the main floor, there's the breakfast room, which is supposed to be a perfect square. For some reason in my build, it turned out to be more of an L shape, and I didn't want to fix it or adjust it because it would have affected the outside of the build, which I was really happy with. So I decided that that would be one sort of inconsistency that I could live with. And yeah, I'm aware that that's not completely right, but like I said, I did my best. There's also supposed to be a spiral staircase in this house as well, but we don't have those yet, or probably never will. But I did do them green and white like the original, just to sort of make it look somewhat realistic. And now this is the third floor, not the third floor. Is this the third floor? Yes, it is. Oh my God. Yeah, and that's where the master bedroom is. And then there's also, I think they call it a dressing room and a bathroom as well. And then the living room has a fireplace, so I included that. And then I'm just putting in all the doorways and doors. Yeah, it's a huge house. It's really, really big. And then the basement has a whole bunch of rooms as well. There's 2 crawl spaces that didn't have doors leading to them at all, but they just sort of existed. So I added those in there. There's also like a wine cellar and a train room. It was definitely, and the basement is super cluttered as well. Like in the pictures, it's like they threw everything down there and completely forgot about it. But I am coming into the screenshots pretty soon. If you guys enjoyed this build, please give it a thumbs up, comment down below. Don't forget to go and check out Hiphiprenee's video, because she will be furnishing and telling the story of what happened in this house. So you definitely want to check that out. Yeah, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. I will see you guys in the next video. Thanks for watching.